Welcome back to the final chapter of this mystery. If you've made it this far, you've seen the evidence that doesn't add up. You've met the suspects with motives and means. You've watched as witness after witness mysteriously died. But now comes the real question. Why does any of this matter anymore? It's been over 60 years. Everyone involved is dead. Why can't we just let it go? Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just about one dead president. It's about something much bigger. You might be wondering why any of this matters anymore. It's ancient history, right? Kennedy's been gone for decades. Everyone involved is old or dead. Why not just let it go? Move on with our lives. But I'll tell you why it matters. And it's not just because old conspiracy nuts like me can't let things go. Because this case represents something fundamental about trust. Trust in our government. Trust in what we're told. Trust in the official version of events. The Warren Commission asked Americans to take their word for it, to ignore the witnesses who disagreed, to dismiss the suspicious circumstances, to believe that everything that seemed wrong was just coincidence or confusion. Don't worry your pretty little heads about all those inconsistencies. We've got it figured out. Just trust us. For a lot of people, that was asking too much. They'd seen governments lie before. Heck, they'd just lived through the whole nuclear weapons Cuban Missile Crisis thing where everybody lied to everybody. They knew intelligence agencies operated in shadows, did shady things, covered stuff up. They understood that powerful people sometimes conspire, sometimes kill, sometimes do terrible things, and then pretend they didn't. So when they were told, just trust us, we've got it all figured out, they laughed. Yeah, okay, sure you do. This assassination also marked a turning point. Kennedy represented hope, youth, energy, optimism about the future, the whole Camelot thing. After his death, things got darker, real dark. The Vietnam War escalated and turned into a nightmare. Cities burned in riots. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. We went from ask not what your country can do for you to trust no one in the span of a few years. Watergate happened, proving that, yeah, the government will lie to you and cover stuff up. Trust in institutions crumbled like a stale cookie. Some people believe that if Kennedy had lived, history would have gone differently. Maybe Vietnam wouldn't have escalated into that meat grinder. Maybe the country wouldn't have torn itself apart in the late 60s. Maybe we'd be living in a different America today. Maybe. We'll never know. But that's part of why this haunts us, all those maybes. What I can tell you is this. There are questions that still don't have good answers. Questions that keep people up at night, scribbling notes and connecting dots on corkboards like they're in a detective movie. How did Oswald, rated as just an average marksman in the Marines, and I'm being generous here, fire 3 accurate shots in about 6 seconds with an old bolt-action rifle? Military sharpshooters have tried to replicate it. Some succeeded, some couldn't. And the ones who succeeded had a lot more practice than Oswald. It's not impossible, but it's damn impressive for a guy who was barely qualified with a rifle. Why did so many witnesses report things that contradicted the official story? Multiple shooters, shots from different directions, suspicious people fleeing the scene, smoke from the grassy knoll. Were they all wrong? All confused? Did mass hallucination break out in Dealey Plaza that day? At what point do we stop calling it witness confusion and start calling it witnesses saw what they saw? Why did Jack Ruby really kill Oswald? Was it grief and rage? Or was he silencing someone who knew too much? Ruby himself, before he died of cancer in prison, dropped hints that there was more to it than anyone knew. He said, "The world will never know the true facts." That's not exactly reassuring, Jack. What explains all the weird connections? Oswald in Russia, then hanging around with pro-Castro and anti-Castro groups like he's collecting stamps. Ruby with mob ties thick enough to choke a horse. The CIA plotting with mobsters to kill Castro, because that's not weird at all. Intelligence agencies withholding information from investigations. How does it all fit together? Is it a conspiracy? A web of coincidences? Bad luck? At this point, I'd almost prefer it to be a conspiracy because at least that would mean someone knew what was going on. And why, after all these years, are documents still being kept secret? If there's nothing to hide, if it's all just Oswald acting alone like they say, why not release everything? Open the files, let the sunshine in, prove the conspiracy theorists wrong once and for all. But no, can't release that. National security. Maybe in another decade or 2, or 3. Check back with us in 2050, okay? I don't know the answers to these questions. Nobody does, not for certain. And that drives people crazy. Maybe Oswald really did act alone, and all these suspicious details are just the random chaos that surrounds any major event. Life is messy, coincidences happen, witnesses make mistakes. Maybe it really was a conspiracy, and we'll never know the full truth because the conspirators covered their tracks too well, took their secrets to their graves, laughed all the way to their deathbeds. What I do know is this. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was murdered in Dallas, Texas. Lee Harvey Oswald was accused, but killed before he could defend himself or tell his story. The official investigation said he acted alone. Millions of Americans never believed it and still don't. The grassy knoll still sits there in Dealey Plaza. The building where Oswald supposedly fired from is now a museum. They charge admission now because of course they do. Tourists visit every day, standing where it happened, looking up at that 6th-floor window, taking selfies where a president died, wondering what really occurred on that sunny Friday afternoon. It's become a pilgrimage site for conspiracy theorists, history buffs, and people who just like unsolved mysteries. Maybe the truth is simpler than the conspiracy theories, just a troubled man with a gun. Maybe it's more complex than anyone imagined. Multiple shooters, intelligence agencies, organized crime, all working together in some grand, sinister plot. Maybe we'll never know for sure, and the secret will die with the last people who really know what happened. That's the frustrating thing about mysteries like this. Sometimes there's no neat ending, no Sherlock Holmes revealing the culprit in the drawing room. But the questions remain, echoing through 60 decades of American history like gunshots in Dealey Plaza. And as long as those questions exist, as long as people wonder and doubt and search for answers, this mystery will live on. Because once you start down this rabbit hole, it's hard to climb back out. Trust me on that one. Because this isn't just about one man's death. It's about whether we can trust what we're told about the most important moments in our history. It's about the limits of what we can really know about power, about secrets, about the forces that shape our world. It's about whether lone nuts can change history, or whether it takes something bigger, darker, more organized. The Kennedy assassination, America's greatest unsolved mystery. And maybe, just maybe, it'll stay unsolved forever, leaving us with nothing but questions, suspicions, grainy film footage, conflicting testimonies, sealed documents, and the haunting image of that motorcade turning onto Elm Street on a beautiful day in Dallas, heading toward a date with destiny and a place in history that still sends chills down the spine all these years later. That's the story, kid. Make of it what you will. But remember, sometimes the most important mysteries aren't the ones we solve. They're the ones that teach us to question,
to think critically, to never just accept what we're told without looking at the evidence ourselves. Because in a world full of secrets and lies and half-truths, the ability to question might be the most important thing of all. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself so I don't feel crazy for spending 60 years obsessing over this thing. Now it's getting late, and this old man's tired from all this storytelling. My mouth's dry from all this talking, and I need a drink, a stiff one probably. But I hope you'll think about what I've told you. Not to make you paranoid or distrustful, but to make you thoughtful. To make you remember that history isn't always what the textbooks say. Sometimes it's messier, stranger, and more mysterious than anyone wants to admit. And sometimes the official version is exactly right, and all the conspiracy theories are just people seeing patterns where none exist. The trick is figuring out which is which. Sleep well, and don't let the mysteries keep you up all night. Though I'll admit they've kept me up plenty of times over the years. Once you start going down this rabbit hole, it's hard to climb back out. Before you know it, you're 80 years old, sitting in a rocking chair telling your grandkids about magic bullets and grassy knolls and mysterious deaths. Could be worse ways to spend a life, I suppose. Good night. And hey, if you ever do figure out what really happened that day in Dallas, come back and tell me, will you? I'd love to know before I kick the bucket. Though at this rate, I'll probably die still wondering. We'll all die wondering. And maybe that's exactly what somebody wants.
If this series opened your eyes to one of history's greatest mysteries, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think Oswald acted alone, or is there more to the story? I read every comment and I love hearing your theories. And if you want more deep dives into history's darkest secrets, stick around, because trust me, the JFK assassination is just the tip of the iceberg. The truth is out there, somewhere. Maybe. Until next time, keep questioning everything.